Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your man's Ken Jackson. Welcome to the show tonight. I'm not live. Decided to pre-record because I got some things I got to do early in the morning, and I didn't want to be up so late. But anyway, welcome to the show where we peel back the layers of what you've been told, what you've been sold, and what you've come to believe about the world around you. And again, I'm your host, Ken Jackson. Today, we're going to talk about a loaded subject. Sometimes, when I speak about this to other people, it gets their panties all up in a bunch and they get all emotional and angry and they want to shout me down. But tonight, we're going to draw a hard line in the sand as far as where I stand on this and where the law stands on this. America is not a Christian nation. That's right. You heard me. By its founding principles, the Constitution, and its legal structure, America is not, never was, never meant to be a Christian nation. Now, I know that statement might hit hard for some of y'all, but hang with me. We're going to walk through it. I'm going to guide you step by step through what the facts are, the history, and the constitutional intent. And we're going to challenge the myths that have kept this idea alive for far too long. All right, so grab your coffee, open your mind, and let's dive in. All right, so let's start with the myth. Many of us were believed or were raised with the belief that America was founded on Christianity, that our Constitution was based on the Bible, and that the founding fathers were devout Christians on a holy mission to build a nation under God. It's a powerful story, but it's not the truth. All right, so here's where it gets real. There's no mention of Jesus Christ, the Bible, or even Christianity in the United States Constitution. The only time religion is even mentioned is in Article 6, which says no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Let that sink in. This wasn't a Christian covenant. It was a legal blueprint designed to keep religion and government in separate lanes. And that wasn't by accident. Now, let's talk about who the founding fathers were. Were some of them Christian? Absolutely. Many of them were Christian. Many of them were not devout Christians. But let's not pretend they were all evangelical believers with Bible verses stitched to their political decisions. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, many of them were deists. They believed in a higher power, sure, but they were skeptical of organized religion and deeply opposed to mixing it with government. Let's take Thomas Jefferson, for example. The man literally cut up the New Testament to create what's now called the Jefferson Bible. He removed all references to miracles, divinity, and resurrection. He respected Jesus as a moral character and teacher, but not as the Son of God. James Madison, the father of the Constitution, was crystal clear in his stance. He wrote, "Religion and government will both exist in greater purity, the less they are mixed together. I'll say that again. The less they are mixed together. These men weren't trying to found a Christian theocracy. They weren't trying to build a secular democracy where belief was a personal right, not a public requirement. Okay, so let's get into the First Amendment and religious freedoms. Okay, so the First Amendment begins: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That's not Christian law. That's freedom of religion for Christians, Muslims, Jews, atheists, and everyone else. The Establishment Clause was a radical idea for its time. It said government doesn't belong in the church, and the church doesn't belong in the government. Now, let me say this. Christianity has undeniably influenced American culture for sure. I know it's been a huge part of the Black community. I actually myself was raised as a Christian, as a Jehovah's Witness to be exact, which when I was a young kid, honestly, I was terrified at what they were indoctrinating us with. But as I got older and I started doing more research and started learning, I found out, for myself that organized religion was not the way to go. Our language, our holidays, even our values reflect that legacy of Christianity. But cultural Christianity is not the same thing as legal foundation. Okay? This is why the Constitution specifically speaks about separation of church and state. Okay? The First Amendment ensures you have every right to believe, to worship, to evangelize. But it also ensures that your religion doesn't have authority over someone else's rights. All right, so the Treaty of Tripoli. Okay, this is a document that you don't hear about in Sunday school. They never taught us this in regular school, actually. So in 1797, under President John Adams, the United States Senate unanimously ratified the Treaty of Tripoli, which included this line, Article 11: the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. I'm going to repeat that. Article 11. The government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. All right? That's in our document, y'all. No matter what you feel or what you think you believe, this is written into our Constitution of these United States. Okay? This was the official U.S. policy, approved without controversy. As I said before, it was a unanimous decision and then ratified by the Senate, signed by the president at that time. Now, I don't care how you spin it, that is a direct statement from our government and the founding stage telling the world we're not a Christian nation. That's not a rumor. That's historical record. All right? So what about In God We Trust? What about it? Some folks will say, well, in God We Trust, it's on the money. Okay? Sure is. But here's the thing. That didn't show up until the 1950s. During the Cold War, it was part of a propaganda move to distinguish the U.S. from godless communism. The same with adding under God to the Pledge of Allegiance. Had nothing to do with our constitutional law and the establishment of these United States. It was all propaganda uh, in our fight against communism during the early parts during the Cold War. And I guess they just kind of forgot and left it in there at the end of the Cold War. Those changes didn't come from the founding fathers. They came from politicians almost 200 years later. All right. Just like a tattoo you get in your 50s doesn't rewrite the story of your 20s. Okay. Those Cold War edits don't change the foundation of the country either. All right. Now, here's the danger of a Christian nation narrative. And why does this matter? Because when people push the narrative that America is a Christian nation, they're often not just stating a belief, they're pushing for policy based on theology, not democracy. That leads to exclusion, it leads to discrimination, it leads to laws that prioritize one faith over another or none. Religious freedom isn't just for the majority, it's for the minority. That's the American promise. Keep in mind, that's what the damn pilgrims left Europe because the king at the time would not let them practice their religious beliefs freely. It was the king's way or no way. So they came here, basically running from religious persecution. That's a fact, y'all. If you paid attention in history class, you would have known that. All right? So, when you tie patriotism to Christianity, you create a second-class citizenship for Jews, Muslims, atheists, Buddhists, and even Christians who don't fit your mold. And let's think about that. How many Christian denominations are there? You got Catholics, you got Protestants, you got Orthodox, you got Baptists, you got these fire and brimstone, Bible thumping maniacs who are totally free to worship the way that they choose under the United States Constitution. Okay? That's what freedom's all about. Okay? So if we were to try to force a theocracy or belief that America is a Christian nation on everyone here, that wouldn't be freedom at all. Not at all. That's theocracy with a flag draped over it. All right. So what the founders actually wanted was, and this is the truth, y'all, pay attention. It might go over some of y'all's head. The founders wanted a nation of moral citizens, yes. But they believed morality came from reason, conscience, education, and yes, for some, faith. But they intentionally created a system that didn't require religion to function. They wanted pluralism, not purity, and that's the beauty of it. You can be Christian, you can be Hindu, you can be secular, you can be nothing at all, and you're still fully American. That's not weakness, that's our strength, that's what will make America great if we exercise that the way that it was meant to be. Plain and simple. All right, so here we are. America has always been a nation with Christians, but not of Christians. Let's respect the role of faith has, or let's respect the role that faith has played in the shaping of lives here in America. Let's also respect the wall that separates church and state, a wall built not to keep religion out, but to keep freedom in. All right, so I'll leave you with this quote from John Adams. The government of the United States is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion, not because they didn't value faith, but because they valued liberty more. All right, so that's it for today. I'm your host, Ken Jackson. This has been the Ken Jackson Experience. If this made you think, if it challenged something you've always believed, good. That was the mission. Okay. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Please leave a review, leave a comment. Tell me how you're feeling, what's on your mind, blase, all that. It don't cost you a dime. I'm not here to try to sell you any damn thing. I just want to have some good conversation, talk about some things, share some of my experiences in life, and hopefully, I can give you a little bit of knowledge in the process. All right? So until then, be curious, stay sharp, and don't just believe. No, I am out.